Here in this video we will dive deep and explore what happens between the life stages of a chestburster and the adult Xenomorph. This particular thing was revealed in the movie Alien Romulus, and so we will gladly provide service to you guys in explaining everything we know about it, how it was formed, why it was necessary, and the changes with respect to the lore. So let's get to it. Let's begin with a recap. The Xenomorph life cycle begins with an adult or a queen laying an ovomorph, which is also called just as the egg. This thing contains a second stage called the face hugger. So when a living organism approaches, the face hugger emerges and attaches itself into the mouth of the host, implanting an embryo into the host's chest cavity. This embryo then develops into a chestburster, which violently erupts from the host's body, quickly scurrying away to a hidden area. The chestburster subsequently grows into a fully grown xenomorph, with each stage heavily dependent on the host's biology and the environment. Now, the xenomorph parasite for most of its life cycle changes from one form to another, and is entirely reliant on a host for its survival and development. The embryo, implanted by the face hugger, uses the host's body as an incubation medium, drawing nutrients and utilizing the host's biological processes to mature. Unlike conventional parasites, the xenomorph embryos do not simply feed on the tissue of the host. They require the body heat, the oxygen, and other physiological factors to catalyze their growth. This requirement for a living host means that the xenomorph can only develop where suitable species are available, making them highly adaptive but also inherently dependent on other life forms. This underlying principle would also determine the chestburster's development into the adult form, as we will showcase to you in a while. So if we go on a side tangent here for a bit, looking at the Neomorph and the Predomorph for instance, these two represent divergent evolutionary paths in the xenomorph development. Neomorphs, which are created from spores or motes, exhibit a simpler life cycle, emerging directly as bloodbursters, which rapidly grows into a fully sized neomorph without undergoing further development. The Predomorph, on the other hand, follows a familiar chestburster stage, but unlike the xenomorph, this infant that comes out from the chest of a human host is different in that it already displays the fully formed body structure of its adult stage, but on a smaller miniature form. Now, the chestburster of the XX121 species, the main one, is different. It is an underdeveloped xenomorph form, which, although ready for rapid growth and aggressive expansion, its anatomy is not fully formed upon emergence. The limbs are rudimentary, the exoskeleton is soft, and it looks kind of like a serpent, lacking the defining biomechanical elements of a mature xenomorph. Therefore, it is fragile and easily killable. To reach adulthood, the chestburster has to go through a period of rapid metabolism. It has to find a safe spot to morph again. Now, the creature's metabolism is non-Newtonian, converting anything it can find into the complex tissues and chitinous exoskeleton required for its mature form. The chestburster here is at its most vulnerable and needs to find safety in order to become the adult drone. In Alien Romulus, a new life stage is introduced that fills in the gaps of the xenomorph's transformation from a chestburster into an adult form. This stage involves a chestburster shedding or molting its skin and encasing itself inside a cocoon or a chrysalis, which looks like a giant It provides a protective environment for the chestburster as it undergoes rapid cellular growth and differentiation. The cocoon appears to have a central opening, which looks like, you know what it looks like, and also has a ribcage exoskeleton that protects the organism inside of it. The separate bony protrusions are movable and are attached to each other by skin-like flaps. Yeah, I know it sounds sexual, but it isn't. It isn't. This structure is spun from secretions produced by the maturing xenomorph, which hardens into a resilient semi-organic shell. Within this chrysalis, the body of the chestburster rapidly undergoes metamorphosis, reshaping its skeletal structure, forming its exoskeleton and developing its secondary set of jaws, also with acid blood and other distinctive features. So the chestburster, after emerging, instinctively runs away and seeks out a dark, isolated corner to create this cocoon, utilizing the same secretions that xenomorph drones use to build hives. The cocoon serves as both a protective shell and a chemical reactor, accelerating the metabolic processes required for the xenomorph to grow. Inside the chrysalis, the creature enters a state of hypermetabolism, using stored energy reserves from its host and any available biomass to fuel cellular division and differentiation. The process is similar to a pupal stage of an insect, but on a much larger and more complex scale, and way faster. The cocoon also helps regulate the internal temperature and maintains the necessary factors, preventing deformation of the developing xenomorph. However, in traditional xenomorph lore, the chestburster is described as seeking out a dark and secluded area to feed and grow, often cannibalizing smaller life forms or consuming waste materials, or also returning to the host, the dead host, to eat the flesh and grow. However, here in Alien Romulus, the story introduces a more structured approach to this growth phase. Instead of aimlessly scavenging, the chestburster actively constructs a chrysalis to undergo controlled and accelerated transformation. This suggests that the species has developed a more efficient pathway into adulthood, reducing its risk associated with its vulnerable juvenile phase. This chrysalis-based metamorphosis also introduces a tactical advantage, allowing the young xenomorph to remain concealed and protected during its molting stage, its most vulnerable stage, enhancing its survival rate and making it even more formidable as an invasive species. In conclusion, the introduction of this missing life stage in Alien Romulus represents a significant evolution in the xenomorph's adaptive biology, further cementing its status as the perfect organism, one that is constantly evolving and refining its methods of survival and propagation. Now, if you like this video, then watch this other one too, and do check out our channel for other xenomorph, dragon and monster content. We might have things you haven't seen before. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.